Well, welcome back to the Next Level Show. We have a good episode lined up for you guys. I think I say that every episode because I feel like we bring that fire. That's just me being my arrogant, cocky self. But people that might be wondering why I sound a little different if I'm coming off just the quality might seem a bit off. For some reason, my computer's technology is not working with us right now. So usually I record on my computer with a specific mic, and I have to use my phone for this recording. So just wanted to kind of forewarn the listeners if they are kind of taken off a little bit by the quality of the audio. I'm
Yep,
still me.
you're just stuck with my voice coming through loud and clear. Um, I got yelled at for the first time yesterday. At the gym in like a nobody else can handle this kind of capacity. Somebody called the front desk, and do you want to do like the plugs and stuff first before I get into this?
Yeah, let's do that. So, for listeners I don't know, we do have a YouTube channel. If you guys would prefer more of an audio format, we do have that available for you guys. We have the last, I believe, 40 something episodes at this point now up through YouTube. Crazy to think that it's already been 40 uploads on the channel. So you guys have already a good variety of different topics to go check out with show notes and all that good stuff, as well as the audio format if you prefer to just kind of listen in your car or listen with headphones without having to be opening up YouTube. I know YouTube is a pain in the ass when it comes to you can't close the app and just do other things. Get that. We have that option as well on, I think, every platform that exists of podcasting. You should be able to find the Next Level Show. So if you don't like a specific app, hey, venture off to another one. Whatever's more convenient. Also share with anyone if you like this content at any point. I always appreciate the screenshots that people tag us in. Our support is just a way to know that, hey, you guys are checking it out, finding some value, and that's why we do this. The other thing, we're on social media. If you guys want our Instagram handles, we have them linked down below. But just for a recap, where you can find us at the Next Level Show. My personal account is at John Alva Fitness. Gabe's at Prime and Glory, and Mike is at Mike Nellis TPT. So just so you guys have that information available, Mike, let us know what's going on, bro. Why'd you get yelled at?
Yeah, so it was basically, so I'm like a manager in training now. So I get a little bit of extra responsibility, and I felt like taking initiative yesterday. Somebody from the front desk brought me a little piece of paper with not enough information on it and said, this person's having a billing issue. And I'm like, oh, I'm looking around. I'm like, Gavin's with clients. I looked at his schedule. He's going to have clients for a while. I'm like, okay, I don't have anything going on. I'll call this person. And it started off like down here, like nice and pleasant. And then it like slowly just like ramped up in intensity. And the whole time I was just kind of sitting there. I realized I'm actually like, it's almost like I've been trained to get yelled at for something I didn't do, with all of my years of experience with like working in a restaurant and just taking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally like, okay, so basically like he wanted to cancel. And when you want to cancel training, you have to submit a form. It's not super expensive. There's no fees or anything like that. It literally, you just need to come in person and sign, and that's it. And he did that, except he didn't fill out the part that says what he wants to do. So he gave us the information, he gave us his why and his signature, but he didn't say whether he wanted a refund or a deactivation or a downgrade or a freeze. It was literally like no useful information on the piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's what I was explaining to him. Like, you didn't tell us what you wanted to do. But basically it was the trainer's fault, not me, for not following through with the person and following up and finding out more. And he just kind of moved on, forgot about the guy. So he was like, I want a fucking refund. I don't want another bill to come out. If another bill comes out, I'm going to raise hell. I'm going to come down there and, flip my lid or whatever the fuck he said. And I'm like, well, I can't stop the payment that's coming out in 2 days. I'm sorry about that. And then he just fucking lost it, bro. It was like, I was actually like, I turned the phone down and just kind of went like, because I could hear him. He was freaking the fuck out, dude. It was pretty funny, but like I diffused it. I did literally hit him one. You'll appreciate this. One time I literally hit him with I'm sorry you feel that way. It's like, I figured I'd
Yeah,
make you proud on that one, but
it does. It makes me think about my customer service days when I used to literally deal with shit for a living. Just
yeah,
some jobs are more chill than others. I had one that I worked for Comcast, and obviously Comcast is one of the biggest internet providers in the United States. I don't know about around the world, but in the United States, it's like literally it's Comcast for most areas. They have obviously more other networks. Obviously, granted, the one I'm using right now, I don't really care for. I'm not even going to give them any type of attention on this, so I'm not even going to say their name. But anyways, Comcast, I have a love-hate relationship. Obviously, working there, I understood why they were rated the worst customer service, provider or whatever. They suck, dude. They legitimately suck. So the way they trained us, we were kind of with our hands behind our back, and we couldn't really help them. And I literally, at one point, I just told the person on the phone when they were just screaming at me, dude, about this bill, screaming at me. Like I just literally said, look, I totally understand why you're upset. I'm sorry you feel that way. But the way we're trained here, we literally don't have access to help you. We can't fully help you on my end. So,
yeah,
and I totally get it. And she was like, I know it's not you. I know you seem really nice, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like I was just like in my head, I was like, good sure. No. So I just kind of left it like that, and I just transferred. But service is a big thing, man. I mean, I think that you're gonna be more well prepared for to handle all this stuff. It just comes with the gym BS at times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was nice because I was in a similar position where I can't, like, we literally can't change what the billing company is going to do. Like, he would have to call the billing company himself. So, like, me sitting there saying, like,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do to stop that payment from going through. Like, I said it a couple times because he was like, no, you have to stop. I'm like, I literally can't. Like, there's no combination of buttons that I can press on anything
Hmm.
in the world that'll stop it. But what we wound up doing was we basically like retroactively activated his cancellation and his we're able to like refund the money that he paid in error. So like it all worked out. It was just kind of funny because like after I was done, Gavin was like, this took a while. Gavin like came up to grab something from the PT bar and he was like, how'd that go? I was like, getting yelled at kind of sucks. He was like, he like stopped what he was doing. He was like, imagine that like at least 4 times a day. He's like, that's my job. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck.
No, it's part of the process. I always find it funny though. Like, it's rare that I've never yelled at someone on the phone because I know what it's like to be behind a computer. And I know that some of these people literally can't do anything based on what department they're in. You get annoyed though. I start getting that tone that I'm genuinely getting bothered by when I feel like you just lack the the capability of understanding what it's that you do, what's your job, and where can I go so I can get help. When you start getting passed around on the phone, that's annoying.
Yeah.
So I literally would say like, look, this is the person that's supposed to designate to help you. I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. I'm gonna get you over there. I apologize for the delay. Boom, swap them over. But because I'm not gonna be like I'm trying to make up shit. No, it's like literally I can't help you. I literally can't. And if you can't, I don't care to talk to you anymore. So just move me over to the next spot that I can. And those happened to me when I was trying to clear up some weird collections issue that I was dealing with a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, kept calling the department. They kept transferring me. Oh no, it's this department. I'm like, so I told her, like, so what's going on with your guys' like system? Like, are you guys just don't get trained well or what? Because I mean, you guys are not giving me congruent answers. One person's saying something, the other person's saying something else. If it's all like congruent or you guys can't, I mean, it is what it is, but like you guys are like giving me different answers. Like you guys are just like lying at this point. Like, so it's a very interesting situation, but it's like that I flat out yell at someone. I would have to be extremely pissed. But at the same time, when a situation like this with the gym or any type of subscription based model, dude, like it's kind of your job to be on top of what bills are coming out. Like you're an adult.
Bro.
You sign documents. Like it's the truth of the matter. It's for anyone listening. It's our job to like if we want to cancel Netflix. It's not Netflix's job to call us and check us like if we were thinking about canceling. like 3 months ago. Like it's kind of your job that it's not your fault you didn't watch Netflix for the last couple of months, or you weren't doing certain tasks. Like you signed something, go handle it. Like, hey, what is it that I got to do? Do I have to physically go in? When can I go in? Cool. Or I have a busy schedule. Is there another way around this? Typically, you usually will find someone that will work with you and make it happen. It's just, you got to be responsible.
Dude. And that's like, people don't understand that. You're signing basically like a legal document. And I mean, there's thing that I have nothing to do with you. I have very little to do with the company that we do our financial stuff through. And of course I work for Crunch, but that doesn't give me like all the power. So like, I can't sign you up for a contract in the same way that I can't cancel your contract. We don't get to pick and choose where body fat comes from when we lose it. Just like how we can't choose where it goes when we put it on. Like it's the same fucking principle. There ain't shit I can do for you. But I was making the joke like, we need to have like, and also like the whole other thing, like, bro, 3 payments came out of this dude's account before he noticed. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, you need to maybe pay more attention to your finances. If you've made it like almost $600 have come out with you not even noticing, like either you're fucking stupid rich or you're extremely irresponsible. Cause I would notice that super quick, but
yeah, you notice something's off. It's like, this is like a lunk of money, but obviously people make excuses. But at the end of the day, dude, we always talk about like taking control of like as much as you can in your life and assuming responsibility for actions, right? It was like, that's what we talk about on the show all the time. It's like, I can't blame Crunch or another gym if I'm just deliberately just paying for a service and I'm not canceling. It's like, it is what it is. Now, obviously, if I missed 1 month by mistake, like for example, I just literally just called a credit card company that I financed my furniture with. And obviously I have everything lined up, but I was on top of them the whole time. Like, hey, it was like, when can I start paying this thing off? Is there I have to wait till the couches get delivered, whatever the case may be? Where do I sign in? I keep getting this email. Eventually I kept calling them until I got to hold with someone. I'm like, hey, like this number, I don't understand. I can't log in. I've been attempting a couple of times. I feel like the payment's about to come, or it should be due by now, or some type of payment. So I kind of wanted to stay on top of it. At this point, it's my credit, dude. I don't want to mess that up. So the guy was like, well, they sent you something. I'm like, well, I never got it. What address do you have? Oh, I can't disclose. I'm like, is it this address? He's like, yes, I don't live there anymore. I literally send them the new address when I signed up for this crap. So they made a mistake on not putting the right information. You sent the furniture to the right place, but you didn't send the billing information to the right place. Like, where is the disconnect? Anyways, cool, man. What can I do? Oh, your payment was due yesterday. All right. Is there any late fees I need to be worried about? No. Obviously, if there was, can you handle it? Boom. Take care of the problem right there. But bro, I could have literally been sitting here wondering, well, it's been 3 months. I feel like I should. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, I have no one else to blame but myself. But anyways, man, not to harp on this too much. We did have 2 topics that we wanted to discuss today with our audience, and I think that'd be a good fitness conversation. Obviously, we are health and fitness. We are not a credit bureau, so we don't know this.
For yourself.
But it's like Mike is the credit bureau.
Yeah. I am FICO.
No, I am the FICO. I am all 3 credit bureaus. But no, dude, what's been going on with this client that you were telling us about that you wanted to kind of share that info?
Yeah, so she signed up. She wants to work on a revenge body, which I'm all for. Crappy ex-husband and wants to get in shape, and and
are they new?
I'm all for. She's brand new. Yeah. She signed up like last Friday, I think.
Dude, I just signed up a guy that got a divorce too.
Yeah,
I don't know. There might be this. We might be training like the opposite, polar opposites.
Maybe. Does he seem emotionally abusive?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he would emotionally abuse me, but
okay. Well, I digress. She's looking for the post-divorce revenge body, and I'm all for it. And she's like, "Fuck it! Like I'm doing this the right way. 3 full hours a week. Like make it happen." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So, and I train people basically the same way. I mean, it's just the first week with this person, so we're working on fundamentals. And first of all, I can tell that she's getting very, very bored with it because she's expecting like the month 3 workout today, and I'm like, I need to make sure nothing's going to fall off. And then when I do up the intensity, she's like, oh God, it hurts. I can't do another one. And I'm like, this is what you get. But another component to this that actually like leads us to the actual useful information instead of just me complaining about my client is every exercise that we're doing, is this going to make me bulky? Am I gonna have big muscles from doing this one time a week, 3 times a week? I don't want to be bulky. I bulk really easy. I get really big when I lift weights. It happens super quick. And I'm like, look around, look at the gym. You see these dudes, all these dudes, look at all of them. They're all trying to get big. Are any of them giant? No. I work out. Am I giant? I'm doing these exercises later today. Like I'm not big. I'm not bulky. And then we, start talking about food and everything, and like all the calories that you need to build bulky sized muscles, and it just doesn't connect. There's such like a mental block that's just shoved in there, where it's like lifting weights makes you big. Like if you touch a barbell, your arms immediately grow in diameter. Like that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But to kind of lead this into, I don't know, do you have experience with people like this? Do you have a finesse to handling these kinds of situations?
Well, obviously we talk about how we get clients with this is a very big misconception that still gets like thrown around, right?
It is, absolutely.
And
this is not just one client, and it's very common. And yeah,
I always do it like in a joking manner, just because I have a very sarcastic personality. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm usually kidding most of the time. And I usually would say like, well, that sounds amazing. If that is the case and we do this, I'm going to literally like send you to a lab to go get studied, because I need to figure out what's going on with your genetic makeup, because I need to apply this to myself.
Yeah, right.
And they obviously take that lab. And I usually follow up with like, all joking aside, this is kind of, if it was that easy, we would see a lot of people, looking this particular way. I know what you're talking about, but it doesn't, unfortunately, like it doesn't work that way. And I say unfortunately because I've been trying to do the same thing for 10 years, and they like, oh, okay. So it's, and I tell them like, what's going to happen is the opposite. And we'll kind of break into that where it's usually more feminine, tight, curvy physique for the ladies. And obviously the men will develop certain aesthetics, but we know as guys that it depends on your genetics, depends on what you're doing, depends on what you're running, it depends like all these other factors that's going to determine your actual size. But typically, like usually with a little bit of education, eventually I'll have to revisit the topic maybe, but typically by the first time they kind of get it. Like they understand like, okay, like it's a misconception, a myth that I still believe in, and hey, they get over it.
Yeah. And that's basically my approach. I kind of get into a little bit more of like the reasoning behind why you're not going to get bulky, even if these exercises were somehow magical or superior, which I mean, in some ways they are. I mean, Romanian deadlift is superior to quite a few things for many different reasons, in my opinion. But, as long as we're not consuming 4,000 calories every single day, you're on a low calorie diet, a lower calorie diet, I should say. And you're doing your cardio and you're sleeping and doing all the right things, it's not like you're just going to magically wake up one day and just be fucking jacked. Like it doesn't work like that. It takes a long time. And when you get to a point where your body has changed and you like the changes that you see, it'll go at such a pace that you can easily just flip into maintenance mode and just work to maintain the shape that you have now found and enjoy. And then you don't have to grow or shrink or tone anymore. But a whole other component to that is this woman has I think a preconceived notion of what training was going to look like, because it is more structured and it's not circuit based. And I'm gonna have a talk with her on Saturday just to make sure we're on the same page, and basically tell her, like, you're gonna trust my process, or I'll transfer you to somebody else who will give you what you want. Because I'm not in a position where I really have to compromise with somebody just because they're paying me. If you don't like my system, then I'll find you somebody that will cater more towards you. But I'm not gonna have you jumping around the gym, making me look like a fucking moron, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. Cause like,
Well,
that's,
yeah, I think that no,
but
100%. Like, I think you're getting to that point that you finally can do so, and that's a very empowering place. But
yeah,
I think it's also, I think at that point, with the way your business is running and everything, you can literally just feel confident knowing that obviously you've been doing this long enough to know that what you're saying is 100% true. I think that someone can sense when you're lying, or when you're not sure. So she should trust. I mean, she should kind of follow. She should be able to kind of adapt your teachings and everything. It's just reassuring, like, hey, like, I totally understand. I hear it all the time. You're not the only one that thinks this way. I yet to have a woman that literally just got so big that we literally had to calm down with the weights. And I think that, just kind of like humoring it up a little bit. And I always just emphasize, what it's going to do is the complete opposite. You're actually going to love the results of it. And just kind of always re-encouraging with the truth. What you're saying is true. You're not lying. I have yet, like, literally, I have yet to train a female that thought this way, and it happened ever. Like, it's never happened. So, unless you are a genetic specimen, which I have yet to meet one when it comes to that. So it is what it is. But that's a big myth, and I think that's a good thing to address. Like, reiterate and never get tired of, like, sharing with our ladies. Is ladies, lifting heavy does not is not going to be you're not going to result in a big muscular bodybuilder. It doesn't work that way genetically, hormonally. The amount of effort that it would actually take. Can you build muscle? Absolutely, but that's where the word tone comes in. It's been a marketing term that's been used to have you buy into fitness for the last couple of decades. It's just a nicer word. It sounds nicer, right? It doesn't sound as aggressive as building muscle. If you tell a chick we're going to be building muscle, she's like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I want to tone. But essentially, you're saying the same thing. So it's, I think it's just kind of a reminder for our female audience that, rest assured, you can literally train very identical as a guy in many aspects and get tremendous results. And I would argue that, following a traditional strength program for most time will actually have the effect of, hey, I'm going to look like a lady. I'm not going to look like a guy, and if you notice that, hey, worst case scenario, maybe you are the exception to the rule. You start noticing, like, I'm getting way too developed in these areas. Simple adjustment is you just reduce the volume or take a break from doing that particular muscle as aggressively or as much attention, and then focus maybe on areas that you want to develop that are more important to you, and just kind of put more emphasis there. And that'd be like the only adjustment that I would personally recommend.
yeah, and I mean, it's pretty easy to see. I mean, when I'm training a guy versus how I'm training a woman, I mean, even just in the structure of the program, it's the emphasis is put in different places.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's just there's a lot of similarities, and at the end of the day, there's only five or six exercises that are, everything is kind of a variation of those, and then how you load them is where the fun stuff happens. How you structure the program, that's where the fun stuff happens. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. Whether you're doing a body weight jump squat for time or a barbell squat, it's kind of the same exercise, different stimulus, different results. And then ironically, they want to gravitate towards lighter weights and higher reps. And to a certain point, that's more likely to make you bulky because of hypertrophy and how that works, as opposed to lifting heavy and going for lower reps with heavier weight. That is less likely to make you bulky because of how muscular development and, your central nervous system functions. So it's kind of ironic that it's backwards, but even then, decades of women lifting light weights for 20 reps and none of them ever got bulky from it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting
I think
concept.
that the biggest determining factors is the hormone profile that's going to determine how you build and the speed that you build. The reason why men have a very much, for the most part, much more development in the upper body is our hormone profile. Certain testosterone levels uh, is why we develop bigger traps, bigger shoulder, broader shoulders, bigger pecs, a wider back. Typically, the women's hormone profile, will allow them to develop more and store more fat and build more muscle, kind of in the lower half. They'll look more developed, more curvy, more of that pear shape. When a guy will typically look more like top heavy naturally, like for the most part. It's rare that you see a guy with these very, very wide hips. It's just the way where our hormonal profile is. But when that does happen, when you, I just throw like a side tangent, like when you can tell when someone's hormone profiles are off, for the most part, is when you see kind of these weird abnormalities that you can tell it's not normal. If a guy has these big butt, big hips, kind of a very like smaller upper body, you can bet you can bet that there's something off with their hormones. Same thing with a woman. When a woman's developing very like masculine attributes and they're getting bulkier, very big in the upper half, but their lower half doesn't really get affected by body fat and stuff and change, rest assured there's something hormonally off. Once you balance those things, it does affect even the way you store fat. So that's why health overall is very important. There's a healthy way to store fat. Believe it or not, there's an unhealthy way to do it. So just wanted to put that out there too, just a little for someone that didn't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think this conversation makes for almost its own segue into the conversation that we wanted to have about boosting your metabolism or speeding up your metabolism, if you want to look at it that way. But and this is the same exact conversation I'm going to be having with my client on Saturday. It's going to be, we're looking to speed up your metabolism through these processes, which we'll get into. And that's literally it. I mean, there's options available to us, but without these three things, you're not having a faster metabolism. You're not losing fat. It kind of keeps you from getting the results you want, unless you're just looking to atrophy your muscle away and then be skinny fat. I mean, that's pretty much your other option, which a lot of people fall into that trap. But
yeah, I like this topic because I talk to our clients a lot about this, especially when they're in the first couple of months. It just depends on where this person's at. This is a conversation that I'll typically have, and I'll explain the benefits of weight training versus cardio alone. I think that some people think that we're kind of against it, but we've clarified that we think that cardio is an excellent thing for overall health. Use it accordingly. I mean, you don't have to not do cardio, but when we talk about speeding up the metabolism, we've had guests on that have talked about it. Shout out to Sal from Mind Pump. He did a very great job at breaking everything down on multiple occasions. And other of our people that we kind of have on this show. But what it comes down to essentially is going to be you want to, over time, focus on having a metabolism that allows you to survive in this time that we live in, that food is readily available. Movement is not even necessary, especially with the whole metaverse thing coming. Well, the whole meta with Facebook happening. I mean, a lot of more virtual reality type settings are going to be in place. So I think that's just going to make us more and more inactive for the most part. So, during this time, you do want a faster metabolism, people are going to be wondering like, well, I'm getting older. My metabolism is no longer the same. This is something that we hear pretty often with our clients. Now, what can we do to kind of counter that? And your metabolism, just so people know, yes, you might have some slowing down effects as you age, but what it really boils down to is your lifestyle. Basically what you're doing. I talked about in the other episode that I did solo about how a lot of the times it's your environment, it's what your daily behaviors, what you're doing, and other factors come into play to dictate where you're at. So same thing with your metabolism. Metabolism is consistently adapting to be the most efficient in what you are doing most of the time. Like we said, your body's an adaptation machine. So with that being said, it's good news for you guys. If you guys think that, damn, I have a very slow metabolism, I eat a cookie and it seems like I gained 10 pounds, just rest assured that your metabolism isn't linear. It isn't stagnant. It can change. Even if you are a little older, it doesn't matter. So that's going to be something that, should give you some hope. And one of the big factors here, we're going to just jump right into it, is lifting weights. Having a primarily strength training protocol is going to ensure that you are building more muscle tissue, which we've explained on other episodes, that muscle in itself is an expensive tissue. It requires the body to, and that's why I even said I think muscle building is harder than just losing fat, because you have to have a lot of other factors in place so that this tissue becomes kind of permanent almost. It kind of like new tissue starts to kind of become who you are. And your body has to adapt to this new tissue to kind of feed it, keep it going, because it's like, well, we need this stuff because we keep having to go through this really stressful period of 45 minutes to an hour, multiple times a week, that we need to be able to move this heavy object through space. And that's just going to call for your body to utilize more of its nutrients to kind of feed it. As a result, you do experience cases where you are able to eat more food than before, without the whole issue of you eat something and you just instantly start feeling like it's going to your love handles, or you feel like it's going to your arms, or it's going to your face, or you're going to your hips. You can eat more food. Obviously, context matters, but we'll get more into it. But basically, eating more food with the fear of gaining fat.
So I was when we were talking about this, I immediately decided that I'm gonna use cars as an analogy because it makes it really easy to understand. So basically, building muscle, putting a little 10 pounds. You don't have to have a ton, 20, 30 pounds of muscle or anything like that. Just building a little bit of lean muscle onto your frame. It basically lowers your miles per gallon. It's making you less efficient. Your metabolism has to speed up a little bit. You need a little bit more food. You're a little bit more of a gas guzzler, basically, is what we're looking to achieve. And then that puts you into a better position where you can eat more if you want to, or you can eat less and get a faster and more permanent fat loss result out of the situation. So building muscle lowers your miles per gallon. That's my input on that one.
Absolutely. And like we said, in this day and age, we want to be that 4x4 2000 Ford F-150 that literally would just hit the gas and you'd already be at half a gallon. So you want to have that type of metabolism where your body consistently is burning fuel. A lot of the times when you do excess cardio, the analogy is the same, but it just goes in the opposite direction. You become more like an electric car, like a Prius, for example, that literally does use some energy, but it's mainly using electric. So it's very gas efficient. You can go freaking 2 weeks without driving a lot and not having to fill it up full of gas. It just, whatever, I don't know the specifics on that car, but this is an example. You become more of a Prius. You want to become more of that very inefficient gas guzzler, type of vehicle. And that's what muscle building essentially will do for you the more muscle tissue you have. Hope that makes sense, obviously, for our listeners. Think about analogies, but basically, yeah, it's kind of what's happening. The other part that I want to kind of say that will kind of help you increase your metabolism is slowly also getting out of this, well, not even slowly, just getting out of a low-calorie diet state. When anyone that's experienced this, that maybe has had success with losing weight in the past through a very restrictive low-calorie diet, will know that, hey, if I eat, let's say 1,200 calories, I lose weight and I got to my quote unquote goal weight, or pretty damn close. But what I noticed was that I had to kind of stay there because I was doing it for so long that I have to stay around that range, because anything over 1,300 calories or so, my body seems to want to continue to gain fat. And that's just it's not because your metabolism broke. It's just because your metabolism has figured out, okay, this person is going to be feeding us very low calories. So we're going to prioritize kind of staying alive here and surviving off this low calorie. You can go very low. That's why, to take it to a dark analogy, you see prisoners that have been, with a very low food, they've been, starved to death. They survive with like a piece of bread a day or whatever, because your body becomes extremely efficient. Obviously, that's not healthy, and they eventually will possibly die. But you can really, your body's, you'll be surprised at what the body will kind of do to overcome whatever's happening around it. So your body will adapt to 1,000 calories a day. Your body will adapt to 800 calories a day for some of you. And some people will be like, well, that's great. But what we said, we live in a time where just an appetizer alone is like 700 calories. So if you only have an 800 calorie budget or 1,000 calorie budget, you've already almost exceeded or maxed out your calorie budget. And if you eat anything else, you're going to experience that, what seems to be weight gain at a much easier rate. And we don't want that. We want to, like I said, have a bigger budget of calories. So you want to get your body out of that state, increase its opportunity to be able to eat more food. And by doing so, you'll need to, essentially start to balance out your nutrition, elevated strength training as a priority, because that's a very good signal, and then start matching the nutrition with it. And that's going to dramatically improve the ability for your body to metabolize nutrients.
Yeah. And it's a similar concept to the miles per gallon. I mean, a slower metabolism is basically a car with really good gas mileage. It runs super efficient. Is it fast? Is it powerful? Probably not. It's more towards that Toyota Prius test. Well, Teslas are pretty fucking quick, but super efficient, lower in power. And that's basically what we're trying to combat. And I mean, it makes even more sense to put it this way. I mean, if you are literally a car and you're not putting fuel in your body, what happens? It's eventually going to stop running. And that is exactly what happens on those lower calorie diets, even to the extreme where prisoners are only eating a piece of bread. Your body, your brain, it's prioritizing not fucking dying to the point where it will literally sacrifice everything else, to the point where organs start to shut down and your muscles atrophy away and all these awful things start to happen, but you're technically still alive. So a lot of those prisoners, they have a lot of medical issues because organs weren't getting nutrients and all these things started to fall to the wayside. And the same thing can technically happen. I doubt anybody would go to that extreme, but you're basically setting yourself up on these low calorie diets to be an extremely unhealthy human. You're creating a lot of deficiencies as far as micro and macronutrients. Your organs and your brain and everything that's supposed to be keeping you running is getting less of the nutrients that it needs. And that's making you a much less healthy human. And that's creating issues that you may not even know about for quite a while. So, but generally speaking, I mean, if the first part of this is building muscle, to increase the speed of your metabolism, and we just found out that not eating lowers your metabolism, you need to eat, you need to fuel the muscle growth, and you need to fuel your body. Otherwise, you're kind of just spinning your wheels. Hey, there's another car analogy.
There you go. I think that a good point to make is just understanding that if you're someone that struggles with this, or you're someone in the situation, you want to get out of this mindset of worrying about maybe your weight for a bit and really focus on hammering home like performance in the gym. That's going to really be a big factor for you in order to see your body kind of restore to a more, let's say, how we can say this, sustainable, sorry, a more sustainable place. You don't want to be in a place where you got the results you want, but realistically, if you stop any of these variables, you're going to go right back to where you were. You want to make this fat loss and weight loss thing kind of one and done. I don't think anyone consistently wants to be dieting for the rest of their life. So this is just a sure way it takes a lot of time. It takes maybe some coaching and some mentorship. So obviously that's why we help people do this. If you feel like you want to reach out to one of us, you guys can, or just seek out someone in your local area that can help you walk you through this process. And if it's a good coach, he's going to understand what we were talking about or what you're trying to do. Because I know it takes a lot of the mental games out of it, because you have someone on your team that's going to be reassuring you of what's going on. Anything else to hammer on that point, Mike, before we move on to the final one?
Negative.
The last one is going to be kind of like polar to the first point. not stop doing so much excessive cardio. I know for some people that love to run marathons and stuff, if you are a legit athlete in that space and that's like your passion, it is what it is. But we're talking about the person that just wants to, like we said, have more balance, more sustainability in their life. They want to prioritize the way they look, and not be on these very low calorie diets or feel like they have to in order to sustain the results. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, reduce the amount of cardio, of intense cardio, where you're running, you're on the bike going hard for like an hour multiple times a week. Like I said, a cardio is, you don't have to stop it altogether, but you should significantly dropping it down, and maybe focusing on more very low steady states of movement, such as walking, such as a light pedal, very light, chill, like ride, stuff that's not taxing on the body long term, and replace those days with more strength training focused stuff, with not the cardio, because if people do cardio excessively, then they go into a hit style weightlifting, which is a little better, but we're still kind of defeating the purpose of what weightlifting will do, traditional strength training will do. You want to focus on just getting stronger and all that, and dramatically reduce that movement. That's going to help tell the body that, hey, we don't have to be super efficient at burning all this energy. We're going to focus on getting stronger and building muscle, because this person doesn't seem like to know what they want to do. So we're going to focus on that, because that's what we're getting the most calls about, right? Customer service. So, but basically, yeah, you want to dramatically reduce that excessive cardio.
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward to me in my brain, and I always explain it to people this way: when cardio, you're burning calories while you're doing it. As soon as you get off, the calorie burn's done. If you're building muscle, doing like a strength training program, you're burning calories while you're doing it, albeit not that many calories while you're doing it. The benefit really comes afterwards, when your body's repairing and maintaining the muscle tissue that you are working hard to achieve. So it's a much longer lasting calorie burn effect. And look at it this way. I mean, we talk about bodies adapting to stimulus basically in every single episode of this show. If you're doing cardio every day, you're doing an hour on the treadmill or pedaling your fucking face off for an hour every single day, eventually your body's going to get pretty fucking savvy on what you're trying to do. And it's going to learn how to do that more efficiently. And if your body isn't losing weight and you're still eating super low amounts of food and you're doing an hour of cardio every day, you're basically giving it less fuel, asking it to do the same amount of work every day. That's making a more efficient metabolism, which, like we just talked about, would be a Toyota Prius. That's not the metabolism you want. You want a fast metabolism. You want it to be very inefficient. You want the Hummer. You don't want the Prius. And cardio is teaching your body to be a Prius. So that's usually where I go. And actually, that exact analogy is now going to be part of my conversation with people moving forward, because I really like the description that goes along with that.
Absolutely. That's like the biggest takeaway for our listeners, because I think that when we think looking a certain way or we have to get results, it's always like, let me do cardio first and then maybe fit in workout routines, weightlifting routines in there, versus it should always be weight training primarily with some cardio to, help your weight training. Unless you're gonna use cardio progressively to get a result. That's kind of what I'm doing. In this case, I'm only doing 3 days a week with 20 minutes. So it isn't really much, on the grand scheme of things, but eventually I will progress it to maybe longer durations or more days, but that's very incremental. That way, every time your body has somewhere to go, but this is if you're trying to achieve that final touched up look. For the most part, you can get away with so much with just increasing your overall movement. We do encourage you to be active, but just not where you are pumping and just running and doing all this stuff where you're just always drenched in sweat, you're always out of breath, or your heart rate has adapted to that very high intensity and you're becoming efficient at it. You want to just stay active, park farther away from your job, take the stairs if you have a chance over the elevator at times, go to the farthest bathroom, try to do things around the house to stay active. Probably your significant other will appreciate you for it. And so it's just like little things like that. You just want to kind of schedule, or if you have dogs, walk them longer, They'll love it. You'll love it. And it will just be kind of a win-win situation for all of you, because we do encourage movement, because overall, the biggest issue that I see with a lot of metabolism slowing down is a combination of all these things. But what really boils down to is our sedentary lifestyle overall. Weight training alone will offset a lot of this stuff. But if you want to kind of keep aiding this whole process, focus on staying active and keeping your steps up throughout the week. It will just make you a much happier human being.
Hell yes.
I think we pretty much covered all of it. I don't have any other points except unless you have anything, Mike.
Did you know that male bees die after they have sex?
I did.
Did you? Okay. Well, then you understand that their whole life is basically honey, nut, Cheerio.
This is true.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's it. That's all I got.
Bees. I would hate to be a bee, bro. I would have died like a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't, even on that topic, I don't think they live for very long. So
Just
you're literally a
gotta
worker. Like it's just a worker drone, And the really sad
Mhm.
thing is that the bees that you see out and about, like collecting honey, those are like the veterans. Because like as soon as you're born as a bee or hatched, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Nondescript birthing process on that one, but the young ones actually stay in the hive and take care of the other little baby bees. And then once they get old, so like if you smack a bee, you basically just killed a senior citizen.
So, I did know this because I had the bee incident at my old apartment.
Oh yeah. That's right.
The guy was schooling me on all the things about the bees and the colonies and all that stuff. And it's pretty crazy. Like they're very systemized. It's crazy how they operate. They're very organized. And yeah, dude, it's just one flow of just you're graduating. Hey, I'm gonna go scout for these hunting now, and try not to die in the process, or not try to get our hormones taken over, and then we just do our thing and die. It's a very interesting life as to be, I guess, but not one that I hope I don't get reincarnated to be one. So
there's worse things to reincarnate
with our listeners. This is true. Listeners, if you guys like this information, go ahead and make sure, like we said, go ahead and share this content with someone, save it, check out the bookmark if you want to go back to see what points we talked about. We always appreciate the support. If you're listening as an audio format, do us a favor, a 5-star rating and review, just to kind of start helping us get this information out to more people, as well as YouTube. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Do us a favor and go ahead and like the video, and it just always going to helps us in any small way possible. If any questions, you guys always can reach out to us. Always reach us out on Instagram at The Next Level Show. My personal account is at John Alba Fitness. Gabe is at Prime and Glory. And Mr. Mike is at Mike Millis BT. Until the next one.